So when I started this on March 1st, I had zero experience in it. I had never personally talked to anyone else who had done it. And in fact, until a few days prior, I had never even heard of it. And yet in the first 28 days, I made exactly, now, wait a minute. Before I tell you that, let me jump back to the beginning. So back in mid-February, it was a normal work day and I decided to jump onto Facebook. While I was scrolling through, I found this post that someone had made, I don't know, 2 or 3 days prior. And as soon as I saw it, I was blown away. In fact, I'll drop it right here. It was by a guy by the name of Steve Rakin. I'm going to read it over here. You can watch it on my screen. He was talking about this side hustle that he had just come across and had recently been trying. It had nothing to do with crypto or AI or Forex or anything like that. And I started seeing this image down the bottom, made $5 one day, 102 one day, 229 another day. And I'm like, okay, this is crazy, especially from someone who has tried a lot of side hustles. At this point, I've done 3 different businesses that have gone to 6 figures. I've probably done 7 or 8 others that I've made some amount of money, and then 10 others that never made a penny, right? Like I've tried a lot of side hustles, and even the ones I haven't tried, I've at least heard of, right? But I had never seen this image for showing how much someone had made. So I was super curious. So this next image I'm showing you, and I'm gonna scroll down over here on my computer so I can see it. This is my response to him. Whoa, that tease is uncalled for. Now I'm too curious. You got to drop it. And in fact, what I did was I saw that he was currently on a live stream on YouTube. So I hopped over there, got in his comment section, and actually asked him about the post, which is what you can see him replying to right there in the follow-up. But this was something I was super interested in, and he actually didn't drop it for another week. And by that point, I had found it myself. So the thing that he had found that I found a couple days later was a thing called sports arbitrage. I had never heard of sports arbitrage. I knew nothing about it. I literally knew nothing about the subject. So of course I do what any good entrepreneur does. I went and watched a ton of YouTube content. So the basic premise, if you've never heard of sports arbitrage, just like me, it's simply a form of sports betting that's not really betting. And the reason I say it's not really betting is because you're actually not even giving an opportunity to lose. So that doesn't make sense. Let me explain. So what you do is you go out and find 2 different sports books. So for this example, we'll say Bet365 and FanDuel. These 2 sports books actually run their own odds. Now, I was completely unfamiliar with sports books, gambling, sports gambling, anything like that. So this was all foreign language to me. But you can find these 2 different sports books. You can use a software called OddsJam, and then OddsJam would find these discrepancies. The discrepancies would be, I could bet we just got out of the Final Four. My team Duke lost. I'm still very sad, but we'll use them for an example. Say Duke versus Alabama. On one side, you could bet that Duke is going to win. On one sports book, you could bet that they're going to lose on the other sports book. And OddsJam find these opportunities where you can bet 2 different sides. So no matter whether I win on this one or on this one, I actually make a profit. Because you're able to do this, because all of these sports books set their own odds. It blew my mind that you were able to do this. Because the best parts is it took no more than 15, 20, 30 minutes a day. It was very, very simple to learn. Once I got started, I had to get used to like seeing and reading sports books, but that took almost no time at all. And it was making a crazy amount of money. In fact, it was anywhere from 2 to 5% on every single play that I could get down. So let me show you exactly what my experience looked like in my first 28 days of doing this strategy called sports arbitrage. I just picked up my phone to look at all the days, but I'll make sure to throw it up on the screen so you can see it. They're in March. March 1st was the first day I ever tried this. I was actually going to try a couple weeks earlier, but my wife was 42 weeks pregnant. I was definitely going to wait until after the baby came in order to get started. But there on March 2nd, I placed my very first arbitrage bet. I only did like $10 or something. I did very, very low amount of money, maybe 20, whatever it was. But you can see I made $2.05. It's risk-free. It took 2 minutes maybe to place this bet, and it was just free money. And then I started to realize I can do this with a lot of larger amounts. So let me show you the very first week ever utilizing this strategy. So you can see right here, $204, $234, $424, $184, $116, $139, and $82. Now, a lot of what I'm doing in this first week was actually utilizing Sportsbook promos. So you can go to a site like Fanatic Sportsbook. And one thing that, at least at that time, what they were running was you could do 10 days of no sweat bets. So by that it meant I could place a bet, And then if I lost, I would get refunded in bonus bets. I won't get in all the jargon of it, but basically OddsJam could take all of these promos, I could plug them into the software, and they could give me the absolute best return. So I was just getting free money by using these promos. I was using these, I was using deposit matches. So I would put $500 into a sports book, and then FanDuel would give me $500 of bonus bets. And I was literally just racking in free money. And again, in the first week, zero previous experience, sports betting, zero any kind of gambling. I knew nothing about sports odds. As soon as I got started, I had a full week of, I don't even know how much money that is, $1,200, $1,500. You can do the math. It's there on the screen. Let's jump into the next week. So $153, $562, $526, $289, $407, $161, $483 in my second week doing this. It was crazy. Now, one question you're probably asking is, what does the bankroll need to look like in order to do this? So I had the recommendation from somebody, because again, I did a lot of research. I had about a week and a half, 2 weeks from when I heard about this to when I was actually able to get started. And I watched dozens and dozens of hours of YouTube content on this, learning myself. Thankfully, I don't think that you have to watch that much. But again, I was obsessed, and I really wanted to learn this strategy because I saw other people had so much success with it. So when it comes to the bankroll, the recommendation that I heard was, if possible, do $3,000 or $4,000, $1,000 on each sports book. So I did 4 sports books at $1,000 each. Now I know people who started on $600, on $1,000, on very little amounts. If you only have like $1,000, you can do 2 sports books and just do 500 on each. But thankfully, I had a little bit of capital that allowed me to do 1,000 across 4 different books in order to hit these numbers. And again, I am doing some arbitrage betting. Probably half of this is arbitrage, and the other half is just free promos and free money that the sports books are giving me. Let's jump into that next week. Now we're about to start the beginning of March Madness. All of that was like conference tournaments. There were days, in fact, this next day, 105, 163, 152, was that part of the college season. I think there on the 16th was Selection Sunday, if I remember correctly. And then there were like very few games over those 3 days, but I'm still making 105, 163, 152 bucks from like 2 or 3 NBA games that are going on at the time. But then it gets into the tournament. So you can see 453, 661, 659, 282. I was making bank on these days because those 20 and 21st were the first couple days of March Madness. So I went as hard as I possibly could trying to make money on this. So now when we get into the next week and the final week before we get to the 28th, and you see the total amount of money, you can see I started having some red days. Now, the red days, I told you from the beginning, this is actually a risk-free strategy. The red days actually weren't arbitrage. They were a different type of sports betting. I kind of got the itch and realized, okay, if I can make 2 to 5% doing sports arbitrage, there's a thing called positive EV betting that over the long term allows you to make anywhere from 3 to 10% ROI, but it does introduce risk. For most people, I would suggest just do arbitrage, just do promos, just take the free money. But you do see the red is because I tried a different strategy, and I'm actually still doing that now. But you can see all the way there. And that brings me to my total in 28 days, from zero experience, from never having talked to anybody about this, from just doing a little bit of my own research on this. I made $7,495.81 from doing sports arbitrage. Now, if you hear that and you're anything like me, I'm sure you're going, Jake, please show me how to do this. Like, what research should I go get? How can you get started making this kind of money that's risk-free, that takes 20, 30 minutes a day? Well, what I actually did was did a mini course inside of the Online Business Academy. I actually just kind of showed people exactly what I was doing, the success how I was having. I did a whole mini course and then started answering a bunch of questions and adding tips and tricks on top of that. If you go down into the description, you're going to see a link to a 7-day free trial. You can go watch that course without paying a single penny. And then hopefully you enjoy it and I can help you make even more money and you stay inside the community. But that's going to help you get started. And all you're going to need is the OddsJam software. And then you're going to be able to do exactly what I did with promos and arbitrage. And you're going, Jake, you're still really new to this. How are you able to teach? In the first like 3 weeks that I've released this course, someone took complete action. And in their very first 2 weeks, they made like $3,000. And if you click on that link down below, you go to our About page, the second video over, I believe, is a full breakdown on his testimonial. And you can see how much he made, how fast he made it. And Again, it's crazy that not only I was able to do it, but he was able to do it just as fast as I was. So guys, this is an awesome strategy. I had never heard of it. Maybe you've never heard of it, but I can't recommend it enough if you want to get some real money pouring into your bank account. And in fact, my goal now is to do $100,000 over the next 365 days purely from sports arbitrage. So if you want to get started, I would love to help you do exactly what I did. Go down, join the Online Business Academy. Once you get in, make sure to hit me up. Let me know you're trying to get started, and I'll answer any questions you have as you're going through the course. And I would love to see you have just as much success as I have, and just as much success as I see other people in our community starting to have already. So that being said, I'll see you inside the Online Business Academy.